Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're awaiting President Trump and the Trump family's departure from the White House to Marine One. You won't have Donald J. Trump to kick around anymore. But
so sad.
I don't think that's where our focus should be. Our focus needs to be on those lanterns adorning the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial. David Harsanyi, political director of CNN, one of the most important men in America.
Still some tinkering going on with the inaugural address, but his aides have made really clear it's not like he's trying to ignore or paper over either what happened at the Capitol 2 weeks ago or what we've been through throughout 4 years of the Trump presidency. And the contrast on display tonight was so stark. I mean, those lights that are just shooting out from the Lincoln Memorial along the reflecting pool. It's like almost extensions of Joe Biden's arms embracing America. It was
I want to nestle into his bosom.
Well, it was a moment of silence at 6 o'clock last night, and people are in Chicago. Mayor Lightfoot asked people to turn off their lights, their electronics, and stand on the front porch with a candle.
Oh,
and Biden was
like they're reaching out, the soaring rhetoric.
To heal, we must remember. It's hard sometimes to remember.
And for many months, we have grieved
there's a statement.
by ourselves. Tonight, we grieve and begin healing together.
Let the healing begin. This is farcical on a Shakespearean level so far. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by David Harsanyi, senior writer for National Review, author of First Freedom, A Ride Through America's Enduring History with the Gun, From the Revolution to Today. I don't know if it's going to be to today anymore. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
How about those lanterns?
They're going to say, how about those Packers? Yeah.
This reminds me of Obama's inauguration and that whole time period.
Yeah, totally.
In a number of ways. Yeah. I mean, not only the obsequious coverage and the ridiculous language people use, but also that I think a lot of people believe the Republican Party is now dead and gone. And in 2 years, that was not the case. And I'm pretty sure that won't be the case either moving forward 2 years from now.
Well, on that score, let me play you a little ditty from outgoing Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. And the question I had listening to him was, who is his audience, or who does he think his audience is for this remark?
The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people. And they tried to use fear and violence to stop a specific proceeding of the first branch of the federal government, which they did not like.
Who is his audience for that comment? And by the way, who are those other powerful people, unnamed powerful people?
Should be speaking about Ted Cruz and Hawley, right? But I guess the audience is, or what he's trying to do at least, is have the Republican Party move past Donald Trump. I mean, that's how I read it.
Yeah, but if Mitch McConnell votes to convict whenever the articles of impeachment move from the House to the Senate, would that sway any other senators? Because, as you know, 17 Republican senators need to join Democrats for a conviction.
I've been told that, yes, it would sway them. I have a hard time believing they can get to 17, but it's possible. I don't know why. As a political matter, I don't understand what the point of that would be, but maybe they have some idealistic reasons. It's weird to all of a sudden have those idealistic reasons, but so I don't know is the answer.
Well,
I have a hard time believing they can get to 17.
Right, but I mean, so that goes back to my question about McConnell's audience. This is the way you think you move beyond Trump, is to stick a knife in the corpse?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I usually think that Mitch does a pretty good job in the Senate, so I don't know what that's about. I mean, maybe he was just rattled by the event, or maybe he feels that Trump bears this responsibility. Maybe he's trying to punish Cruz and Hawley in some way. I don't exactly know. I think there are better ways around to do that. But yeah, it doesn't, as a political matter, it doesn't make much sense to me.
Contrasting the Biden administration from the Obama administration, which he was a part of course, is a lot of the chatter in terms of first day and first 100 days revolves around illegal immigration and putting that front and center in America again, even as they're suggesting that they will extend the travel bans on Europe and elsewhere that Trump was prepared to relax. And his incoming DHS secretary essentially suggesting that, yes, we have this 8-year plan to make everybody here a citizen. They've sent the signal to these caravans that are amassing and making their way up to the southern border that there'll be no deportations for the first 100 days, perhaps beyond. So incentivizing people that let's get in as soon as we can get in here so we can get into the queue for that 8-year citizenship program. Is that really where Joe Biden wants to focus his political capital in the first 100 days?
Yeah, I think he does. And I think more than that, looking at at least what people are reporting will be the executive orders and the first, his executive orders, they seem like we're just going back to the Obama years. And you're right, enticing people to come here. I'm actually a person, I think, I don't mind giving amnesty to dreamers, et cetera. But I do think that this is just lawlessness. First of all, everyone was constantly calling Donald Trump a Nazi and a fascist and all of this, but now we're going to have a president who simply ignores Congress and is just going to do all these kinds of things through executive orders, and no one is going to complain about it on the left, and no one in the media is going to complain about it, just as they didn't when Obama did it with the Dreamers. So the hypocrisy bothers me, but the policy also bothers me. So I think that this is how people forget the Republicans did very well in the House. They could very easily in 2 years win back the House and very easily in 2 years win back the Senate. And I think that if Biden decides to go this route, that's what might happen.
Well, right. And again, if there's, the issues we were talking about when border security was dominating the conversation, I think people that were committing, the Kate Steinle case being an example of this, of people in this country who everybody said shouldn't be in this country. They had multiple violent crimes in their background, and yet this country couldn't see its way fit to get them out and keep them out. And that was a source of real frustration. So, it seems to me this issue, depending on how it's handled, has the potential to be for Joe Biden in 2022 what Obamacare was for Obama in 2010.
Yeah, I think people misjudge the polls, or the polls aren't right exactly on immigration. This is just the feeling I have, where when you ask people, are you broadly, are you for immigration? Are you for helping young children who come here with their parents, et cetera? Everyone says yes, they are.
Right.
But I don't think that the American people, when you really dug into the polls, for instance, on allowing refugees from Syria here, there was a wide antagonism toward that idea. It wasn't as if it's just. I think they misjudged the immigration issue. I don't think most Americans like the lawlessness of it. I never understood why you couldn't have a wall or stricter, even if you're pro-immigration like I am, why we can't have a better handle on who's coming and who's going and why they're here, et cetera. So, I think it does. I don't know that it would be exactly like Obamacare. I think Obamacare was something special in the way that the legislation passed and all that went on in those days. But I do think that it could be a big issue.
Well, think about this additional layer, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a perfect analogy, but think about this additional layer, depending on where we are with all these lockdown politicians around the country, including the one in the White House, where we are with COVID and the policy response. Think about the issue of we're allowing people to illegally come into this country, and I can't legally go to my local restaurant. How about that?
Yeah, no, that is certainly something. COVID changes things, and the lockdowns do change the dynamics of a lot of things. I've been thinking recently about the Capitol riot, and even in the summer, people are locked down and they're not interacting with other human beings really in the way we're used to. So they're in their little bubbles, and a lot of anger can grow in those bubbles, and a lot of conspiracy theories bloom there. And so I think that if you're going to do something that feels lawless while you're not allowed to go to a restaurant, that might change the dynamics of that issue.
Yeah, and people don't get arrested for looting and taking people's things. But if you open your business, you could go to jail.
Yeah.
That is the craziness of this world that we're living in. I wanted to ask you, what do you think the Republican Party looks like post-Trump? Or do we not know yet?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I think that people have to understand, or maybe they do, that there are factions and to every party, right? And I think the common enemy, and maybe I shouldn't use the word enemy, a political foe that we all can agree on, helps bring people together in ways that perhaps being empowered do not. But I think you're going to have a more populist party than you did before, obviously. I think that Trump, for all the downsides, also opened up places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin to Republicans, perhaps in ways they hadn't before. And sometimes I wonder, was it just his celebrity, or was it what he spoke about? And we'll see if someone can replicate that, maybe like 30% less crazy replication of it, and do well. But I don't really see anyone like that out there right now. So it's hard to know, I think, where they go from here.
It was interesting that Trump said in his farewell speech yesterday that his greatest legacy, according to him, was that he took up the fights that people wanted him to take up. And that's what they haven't felt about the Republican Party, thus his ability to, run the table to the nomination and the presidency. And there's saying the words, but then there's also, conveying it in such a way that you pass the authenticity test, that people believe you. There's an emotional connection. And I don't see really anybody in the Republican Party, maybe Ron DeSantis, because of what he's taken up and what he's endured, that has that is positioned to fill that void, that part of the void. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Ron DeSantis, meaning up close. I don't know what kind of a retail politician he is, et cetera. But I think he's done a great job down there. And so that might be a person. I think maybe a governor is a better way to go. But yeah, I mean, I think if Trump hadn't acted the way he acted after he lost, that his legacy would be not, especially his policy legacy is pretty good, right? I mean, if you believe in the things that he spoke about, like not getting into a new war, I think that's something people actually care about far more than Republicans have thought about, because of Iraq. It changed that whole dynamic. But yeah, I don't see anyone like that, not in the Senate at least. And I think that some people, let's say Marco Rubio, has tried to co-opt or, appropriate that kind of populist language and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel authentic to me, especially when you've changed the way, your ideological outlook so many times. So
completely,
yeah,
completely. And here's the thing that the Republican Party has to massage too is Trump still, his approval rating at present notwithstanding, and whatever happens with impeachment 2.0, 91% of Republicans oppose his impeachment. A supermajority would still say they would still vote for him if he ran for president again. He is going to have currency, and there are going to be a lot of candidates midterm that are going to want him to come to their district to campaign for him for Congress, maybe even at the statewide level in some states for Senate. And so he's still going to be a presence if he wants to be. And so that relationship between him and McCarthy, him and McConnell, and the respective caucus campaign committees, that is something that we're going to have to really watch closely, because they can't just give him the back of the hand, I think, the way that McConnell did yesterday.
Yeah, what I think happens is many Republicans, I'm not even hardcore, Trump fans, which Republicans feel like everything's stacked against them, the institutions are against them, the media is against them. Want to, I think, have some who their candidate can be, and they like that Trump speaks up and back.
It balances MBA teachings with advanced design and development methods from concept to commercialization. You'll learn to identify opportunities, lead a team of diverse talent, and manage business issues, creativity, and design. Think of it as the MBA for those